What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Got a little special treat for you today. I'm going to be showing you guys some of the rare parts that seem to be rare, but they're not, but they are, that usually come in a factory Fox body. And I want to show you because these are usually missing and you probably don't even know they exist. If you're curious about what we're talking about, stay tuned and let's get right into the video. I'm here today to show you some items that are usually missing, they're usually forgotten, or they're just plain not there when you get your Fox body Mustang. But let me go ahead and talk about the first item that I'm going to show you today that usually is missing, gone, sold, forgotten, whatever. But I wanted to show you this stuff. Let's take a peek in the back of the black car here. I have a 5-lug spare, right? Now, obviously I have a 5-lug spare that's actually out of an SN95 because 5-lug wheels. Now, in your case, you have a 4-lug. Factory Fox bodies have a 4-lug. So they had a 4-lug spare and they had a 4-lug spare set. What happens more oftentimes than not is that spare gets taken out to either lighten the vehicle up when you're racing or just, you know, it gets used and the items get put in the garage. It gets sold, it gets scrapped, it blows out, whatever. But I want to show you an item. It had low mileage on the car and I wanted to show you back here in the back what that actually looks like. So what I have here is I have a Fox body original spare. Okay, you can see it's never really been used at all. It's got the nipples still on the top here. It's even got the line here. This thing is mint condition. It's a 135/70/16. It is the old school convenience Goodyear spare, okay? Really nice. And they actually have the E2BC number here. This is the Ford number and it's got the Ford stamp right here. This is the 4-lug. Over here on the side, you got the blue jack. You got the little jack here that's usually held in place by the J-hook. And this J-hook's usually missing and all broken, but this J-hook holds everything down. And the real kicker to all this is I got the original lug bar with the clippy and the lock. Now these parts definitely are missing in most all Mustangs. I'm not even really sure why the locks are even off the car. But I mean, you have the registration card here, which is really cool. And then you got the lock itself. And then you got the 4 original locks that were for the car. Now I've been messing around with Fox bodies for a long time. And you don't find stuff like that often at all. Especially when you get the car in, whether you're rebuilding it, restoring it or not. You just don't find stuff like that. So I felt that I needed to take a moment and show you guys on YouTube because you just don't see this stuff hardly at all. I'm missing it in my black car. I'm not done back here, but obviously my white car don't have it. So these things are just like a myth. It's like, man, where did everything go? So this is a really cool setup to share with you guys. Again, it's the spare tire, it's the jack, the J-hook, the hold down, the 4 original locks and key, and the original registration with lug bar. Really cool stuff I wanted to show you guys. Now let's talk about the second thing that's often gone and usually often forgotten or taken out of a Mustang. I never really gave a shit about the radio. And that's probably not a good idea because I like to jam with it, but I do like to hear my Mustang and I like to hear the turbo blowout valve. So I kind of got rid of my radio a long time ago. As you can see, usually they're just missing their radio in general. And I got the little thing over there for an effect, but it don't work. You know, even in my white car over here, you know, I'd rather just hear the car, the engine, and the turbo than to worry about any sort of sound. But that's really not the right answer anyway. Some of these Fox bodies came with a rare radio. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, there was an equalizer radio that came in these Fox bodies, 87 up to 93. And it was a really nice premium radio that often got overlooked. And the option must have been super expensive because you don't see a lot of these ever. So let me go back here and show you what I'm actually talking about and you can actually identify some of that stuff. This is your factory Fox body radio. Obviously it looks familiar, right? You got the coin tray, you got the radio, it's the tuner, tape deck. It's just a normal radio, no big deal. It's got the normal radio harness, which connects to the back of the radio and connects to the harness itself for the dash. And it has the amplifier, the radio amplifier for the back. Now what I'm about to show you is super rare. And actually it's kind of expensive, especially if it actually works. I've had a few of these in my time, and this one actually works really well, except for the power button on the EQ. It sticks a little bit, so. This is the factory radio equalizer tuner. Now, if you put the amplifier and the harnesses together, you can see the difference. This harness has way more connections to hook into the equalizer, to hook this into the amplifier, and have its own speaker runouts for the equalizer. So, and naturally the radio is different. It's got a different balance, it's got a different tune function, and it's just a graphic equalizer from Ford. Really cool part, definitely rare. And how you can tell if you got an EQ radio or you need an EQ radio, or how you can tell that this part is needed, is these plugs are different. The dash harness or the radio harness plugs in here is 2 gray plugs. This one has a green plug. So what's that mean? If you got an amplifier that's got a green plug, then that's the rare EQ amplifier. Now there is 2 more items that I forgot to mention earlier in my video. 92, 93 had a rare premium radio that actually had an amplifier that was underneath of the passenger seat. And it too had its own specific harness that usually was attached to the premium radio we were just talking about. Lastly, convertibles and Cobras had an aluminum spare that was just like that jack kit I was just showing you in the back. It was a rare option. Usually it was in Cobras. I have seen it in fully loaded GT convertibles, but it was pretty much 92, 93. So felt I needed to add those 2 to the list, as they obviously pertain to the 2 items we were talking about. So there you have it. Factory radio, factory harness, factory amp, rare radio, equalizer, harness, amp. So I felt I should show you guys in these videos, just a short video, give you guys something to watch, to enjoy. These parts have been missing in Fox bodies for a long time, and they're often taken out because they're either part out cars or the race cars at this point. It's not very common that you get somebody that wants to put everything back to stock and restore it, but that's where Fox bodies are headed to. I think that we're gonna start seeing here soon in the near future that Fox bodies are gonna start being pushed to be restored for factory parts. Instead of being so heavily modified or so heavily modded in general, NA, turbo, nitrous, supercharger, I really think that they're gonna start making a push to make more restoration parts like Late Model does and like CJ and American Muscle. So I wanted to share with you guys before I got rid of these parts, you know, what they look like and what you should be looking for if you're doing a total restoration factory, or if you just wanted to check out some cool Fox history. It's very uncommon you find a complete jack set like this, and I even had the factory foam with it. And you never hardly ever see these radios ever in the harnesses together, even with factory stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my Fox body content, make sure you hit that like and subscribe below. I got a membership, club membership. It's the join button below. I appreciate all my club members for what you do for me on a monthly basis. Again, guys, I appreciate your time and I appreciate everybody for watching. Make sure you keep the wheels straight. I'll see you in the next video.